Means it's my identity. It's all I know. Marquette was the first university to give me an opportunity, a job, and all I know is the Jesuit way. All I know is the Marquette way. When I did leave for a while, I went to an institution that was very similar to what the Jesuits and the type of people it recruits. So it just means I'm embodied with the university and what it stands for and their beliefs and the type of people that are attracted to this university. They're very similar. They're people who want to give. All of them, the common thread is that they're such good people. They're all, for the most part, faith oriented. They're supportive. They want to volunteer and they want to make a difference in people's lives, especially after they graduate. While they're here, I was just amazed at how much service they put out for the community. And I was never kind of privileged to that when I was in college. It wasn't our thing. But then when I came here, for them to want to do so much for others, I thought was awesome. And then that carries on. They're all talented players, but more importantly, they're great people. I think the biggest thing is I never talked about success as a result of what the season was. It was more of what can we do every day to can carry on to the next day, and good things will happen if we just keep working hard. It's almost like you have white collar players that you're trying to turn into blue collar players. They're white collar kids, and then you want them to think and feel and play and act like blue collar. So that's been from the very beginning. We never said, hey, this is our goal, is to be Conference USA champion or whatever champion. It was like, let's beat the next team. And that's kind of how we're doing it now. And the results are results. I'm not in the stats. I couldn't tell you. I'm looking down at all these things. I'm like, oh my God, I don't even know what media guide we won. And it looks like in all of them, we won something. Moments, the most memorable moments being here at Marquette and coaching these women are being invited to weddings. And that to me is very special because and you don't realize it until you get married and you start going through your list of people you're inviting. You're like, well, I want to invite this person because he or she was important to me in this stage of my life. And there's a price to it, there's a cost to it, that you want to keep numbers low, and you start thinking about that, and then you go back and you think and you say, gosh, I was invited to so many of these weddings. I must have meant something to them, and more than just a coach. And I see that every 5 years, every 10 years, there's groups of kids that are reaching out. And to me, that's very memorable. Him and I got here at the same time. We took over the program at the same time. He was here a little bit earlier with Steve Adlard, who was really our mentor on how we coached and how we treated people. Markus has been a constant, a consistency throughout Marquette, and he embodied everything that Marquette stood for when it came to success and being able to give to others. He was able to give to so many times. His impact, him and I both recruited all these players that were here, and his impact on them, once again, I'm sure he was invited to many of those weddings as well. And I know that was a big honor for all of us. So I think his name still goes, still echoes through here in the coaching community in the country. Everybody still asks, and how's he doing, and things like that. And they know what he has built here, but it was an us thing. It was always an us thing. He never wanted the glory just for himself. So that made him a special person. Important to me. It's very important to me because because every generation changes. The way they play, the way they think, the way they train, the way they everything's so advanced now. But we've been on the road several times and had lots of alumni come out, and they want to share their story because they're so proud of the university and the teams that we've had here. They're so proud that they want their kids. that's the coolest thing. They want their kids to see our players and say, look, I wore a jersey just like you, and I have a kid now, and I want my kid looks up to you. I think that's more important because now you don't have to motivate anyone to do anything. They're inspiring young kids that moms were in this locker room, and if they could share that story, that means a whole lot to me because it gives them an importance, this team. And every team in the country has that, I'm sure. But I find that's more rewarding than anything. When the alumni can share their stories, and they don't even talk about soccer. They don't talk about the games exactly. They talk about the restaurants. They talk about the baggy Umbro uniforms. They talk about, Frank took away my shoes, or all things. They talk about just practical jokes. So it's and people that they were on their team were in their weddings as well, and they're still close. So I think that's the cool thing about being in sports and being at Marquette and having the alumni come back. I'm ecstatic to see them. They had a lot to do with me being here. I think the very first game we played here, when I returned, it felt like it was my first win, and I thought, I've won so many games here, but yes, it was my first win as the head coach, but it was about the alumni, and I wanted them to get a first win again. And they all reached out, which was really cool.